We are here with a good chunk of the cast and the director of Hellboy II.
He called me a chunk.
A chunk?
Wow. Thank you.
I think he was referring to me.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming here. We're very
Our pleasure.
You guys. So you're here to talk about the Golden Army.
Yes, indeed.
So let's talk about it. What can we expect from the movie?
Well, the reality is what you know, our ambitions were out of control. So we tried to do a gigantic movie until we got the budget, and then we tried to do a gigantic movie for that budget. So what you're going to get is really essentially a tenfold size of a movie than the first one was. But at the same time, what is great is you get also some of the more funny, more personal stuff between the characters. So it's a good combination of intimate, funny banter and really huge spectacle. It's very different from the first one, and I think it's more free and more beautiful.
We were talking to Mike Mignola a little earlier today about the Hellboy movies, and he was saying, first of all, that he loves them, but that they're also just so
Lying son of a...
I'll send him the money.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
But he was also saying that he feels like almost the movie and the comic book in a certain way are kind of like retellings of the same story in a different way. They go off in a different direction and do it visually. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I think what we did from the start, Mike was really clear that any incarnation that Hellboy went through, he would allow the creators to take it in any direction they saw fit. You know, like the animation goes one way, in which, for example, Abe Sapien and Liz Sherman have a romantic liaison, which I'm sure Hellboy in the movie would not like to learn about. And in the comics, essentially no one has a romantic liaison of any type, and so on and so forth. But Mike has been very open to allowing us to take the character, take the main frame of the story and run with it.
And so, but you're still working with him on a very regular basis?
Very much so. Even more now that he feels comfortable with the Hellboy that we created on film. He has been part of the pre-production, on the designing, the creature sculpting, so forth. You know, he comes and sees that process, and he was in the pre-production in Hungary quite a bit with us, preparing some storyboards, checking the sets, everything. You know, I think but as I say, we have a better communication now than in the first one even. So.
And it's you know, important to point out that the biggest fan of the comic book is Guillermo. So he was never intending to improve upon it. He really wanted to, you know, pay homage to the genius of Mignola, and you know, no matter where the story took, there are different things one answers to for a film than one does in a comic book. But having said that, the spirit of it is as much in keeping with the genius of Mignola as is humanly possible.
As it turns out, there were changes, but you know what is funny is, and I'm not joking here, is right. All of a sudden, I thought we had made almost like a transposition exactly, and then you see the film with a little distance, and you go, no, they're very different. And I think in the second one, we embrace those differences and say, let's grow on that. You know, let's take it to the next level on that. And I think the world is richer, wilder, and ironically, we may end up being more like the comics this time. I don't know.
You're talking about the more freedom you have in this film. How does that play out in the film? Was it just you could go further with the characters, the story?
Well, you know, first of all, the design allows me to, you know, now create creatures that are not going to be heavily supervised, that they have to fit a certain pattern or be so friendly to an audience. So I can take the creatures and be a little more surreal with them than in the first film. In terms of the story, it allows that sort of peaks and valleys that Doug was talking about, that you can go and do explore a little more of Abe Sapien than just in the first movie where you were setting up the exposition. Who is he? What does he do? Who is he? What does he do? You know, and it gets to be very cumbersome. In the second movie, you can be more free and have literally a couple of the characters break up a six-pack and have a beer and talk about life.
What's something that people will really go crazy for in this new movie that they didn't really get to see in the last movie?
Monsters.
Monsters.
A lot of monsters. And the first movie, we designed 5 creatures essentially. In this movie, we have around 32, 35 creatures. And in some instances, we have thousands of them on the screen at the same time. So, you know, I think monster on monster action is definitely much more heavy on this one.
Hot.
We've all been there.
Hot monster on monster action.
Great.
Flapping in the wind, my friend.
Excellent. All right, you heard it here first, monster on monster action.
Red, we have company.
Oh, crap.